This is Zach with Vast Computer Solutions. Today we're going to be going over the audio runs for the Amazing Lash Studios setup. Let's go ahead and look at the overview for the audio project for your particular site. Not every Amazing Lash Studio has this layout, so don't be alarmed if it doesn't look exactly like this. But this is a blueprint from a job that I recently worked on. Take a second to look at the top left. You'll see the legend for this blueprint. Familiarize yourself with what each point is. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do so now. Each Amazing Lash Studio has two channels, or two different segregated lines. One channel runs straight to the lobby, where it'll be playing upbeat kind of music. The second channel is everything that's in the back. The bathrooms, the hallways, all the studios back there, all run off of one channel. That's because they play more relaxing spa type music in the back. In order for this to happen, that means that there's two amplifiers. So the easiest run for every studio is normally from the terminal all the way up to the volume control that is for the lobby, and then from that to the lobby speakers. That's normally the simplest run because it's only one line. For everything in the back, the simplest thing to do is just to run one big line that goes through the hallway. Now you'll be splicing a lot into this line, so you want to make sure that you give it plenty of slack. The first splice I would start with is making sure that that main line is connected to the terminal. Now we'll get more in depth into what these splices look like and to how that all works in the real world scenario, but this is pretty much what everything's going to look like when it's all spliced and done with. Now before you really get started, please research the code for your particular area. There's a lot of different things for a lot of different areas as far as how the wires are supposed to be properly run. An example would be that some areas prohibit you from running any cabling whatsoever directly on top of water lines or air ducts. So now that we've gone over the overview and we've briefly touched on audio cable runs, what we're going to do now is just go into a little bit more depth of the audio cable runs and the specifics of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at a splicing point. Why is it that we're splicing anything in the first place? As I mentioned before, everything that's in the back goes to one channel, and so this is the easiest way to terminate everything. Rather than having a separate line that runs to each studio, going back to the amp and making a giant mess, we can use that one big main line that I talked about to terminate everything to, and it serves the same purpose. So basically, anytime that you would need to run a part of that main line down to the volume control, and then from that volume control back up to a speaker, you would create a splice. In this video segment, I've got two lines that I've run down the wall to where the volume control is going to be. One of these lines is going to be for the speaker, and the other one is going to be directly spliced into the main line that's in the ceiling. Now there are two lines in the ceiling. One of them goes directly to the lobby, like we were talking about earlier, and the other one is actually the main line. Now as I ran the main line, every 1 or 2 feet I marked it with a Sharpie so that I would know which was which. Now we're going to actually cover how to splice the cable. Splicing is pretty simple when you have these push wire connectors. You'll remove about 1 inch or 2 of your protective casing on the main wire. Expose about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of the wire inside, on each end. Now when you've got multiple wires that you're trying to put everything together with, you'll put all the positives with the positives and all the negatives with the negatives. When everything's connected to the push connectors, be sure you take electrical tape and stabilize all your wires so they don't come apart easily. Next in the list is installing the volume controllers. Your site should already have conduit and a box in place to install the volume control. If this is not the case, please stop what you're doing and contact us immediately. Assuming the conduit was in place and you made all your runs, you'll then pull out both wires that you should have run through the conduit down to the box. One wire is a short run that goes straight to the speaker that's up in the ceiling, and the other wire is where it gets spliced into the main line in the hallway. It's best to mark both ends of those before you run them through the conduit into the box. Volume controls and speakers should already be on site. Their boxes look like this, and this is what comes with them. Pull the contents out of the box and prep it for installation. The volume control unit itself already comes out of the box in the off position. If you flip it around to the back, you'll see a green wire connector that actually pops in and out. This makes it easy for when you're splicing the wires for your volume control. Pay close attention to the labels that are on that wire connector. There are prongs inside of each of the holes in this wire connector that loosen or tighten with a small flathead screwdriver on the top. Cut about 2 inches off of the shield on the main wire. There's going to be a little string in there, just like with the Cat 5. You can just go ahead and cut that off so it's not in your way. Remove about 1/4 inch from each wire so that the metal is exposed. Put the exposed wire in their respective labels. Once they're in there, you'll use that small flathead screwdriver to go ahead and tighten those up so that they won't come out. Once you've done this for both wires, or the 4 different wires, you'll snap that green wire connector back onto the volume control, set it into its box, and screw it in place. After you're done with that, you'll go ahead and mount it with the faceplate, and then you should be good to go. Now that the volume controls are in the clear, let's go ahead and work on the connection of the speakers. The Atlas speakers that should be on site are a 70-volt speaker system. Make sure that each speaker is on its lowest setting possible. This will be done by checking that the knob on the face is on the lowest number. To attach the wires to the speakers, remove the backplate. 2 screws are found under the speaker's backplate. The wires will connect to these 2 screws. The speaker is not polarized, and therefore it doesn't matter whether negative or positive is connected to either which screw. Cut a hole in your tile ceiling with the template that came with the speaker. To install the speaker, make sure that you use the metal bracket that came with it for extra support. Connecting your audio lines to the amplifiers is pretty simple. Get your amps out of the boxes and set them up on the shelf. Find your 2 audio lines that should be in there. One's for the lobby, and obviously one is the main that's in the back. It doesn't really matter which amp is for which channel. What matters is what line you'll use from the media box connected to the amps, and we'll get to that later. Find the label for whichever audio cable you're going to connect first. This is what the front of the amp will look like. There's 3 different channels on each amp and a main, and there's the back of the amp. When you splice your cable, the negative is going to be connected to the COM section, and the positive will go to the 70-volt section. Your input is going to be input 2, and we're just going to connect to the left RCA side when we get to that point. It will look like this once you've connected your audio cable. An RCA cable should have come with everything else that we shipped. The RCA cable will be a dual cord, left and right. You're going to go ahead and split this apart on both ends, leaving the middle connected. Each channel only needs one of those RCA cables, so this works perfectly. Now, the Voice Solutions media box has 2 outputs, and when you connect these RCA cables to the media box, you need to make sure that they are both on the output for each channel. Then connect those 2 RCA cables to the respective amps. At this point, that media box will just need to be connected to the internet to push and pull sound. If you're having trouble getting this to work, you can contact me. I hope that you found this video helpful.